Squires, to another episode of Story Lords, the prompt-based fiction podcast with 2 prompts, 3 stories and infinite laughter. And it's a special today with Jeff doing his gay shit in gay Paris. We have a special guest, one we've never had. Ooh la la! Get your baguette out, Jeff. You beret-wearing bitch.
You're riding your bicycle around.
With your onions hanging around your neck.
Fucking onions and your fucking penny farthing.
No, that's British. You've gone too far.
Two north.
What's the difference?
Oh, that's them fighting words. I'm Rich Masters, as always. With me, as always, is Josh.
Hello, I'm here. I'm the one not on vacation with my wife or Jeff's wife. That's next week.
That's next week. And with us this week, this special, more British, more proper, more prim episode is Spivzy.
Hello. They just took a bag off my head. I don't know where I am.
Put your bag back on your head, boy.
I put the bag on your head at the end of recording Toonhounds, shoved you in the Toonhounds van, and drove you over to Storylords.
Yeah. It's one of them comedy vans. It makes a lot of noises while it's driving along.
It's got a...
Oh, definitely. Definitely. What did we say on the show? It was like the Mutt Cuts thing from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, mutt cut, it's just all fabric on the outside.
Yeah, very flammable. Very, very flammable.
Yeah. Or inflammable? I don't know.
They mean the same thing. I don't know why that exists, but
what
they mean the same thing.
What a country.
What a language. This episode is Mimes and Masks. And
sure.
They went together,
all
right?
That's what I did.
Thank God. I didn't mishear the episode and do one about mimes.
You could have done... Wait, it is Mimes and Masks.
Wait, it's mimes.
Mimes. Yeah, mimes and masks. Yeah.
What did you say, mines?
I said mines.
Oh, mines. Down
or
mines.
Are you saying mines or mines?
Big Macs?
Like your brain.
Mimes.
Mimes.
So, this week... good old Henderson is going first, so we're gonna...
I went first last week.
No, you did not.
I swear to fuck I did.
Oh, wait, you probably did, but because Jeff is, flouncing around in Paris in his stripy shirt...
I'm gonna blame this on Jeff. Yeah, he was fucking with his 400 blows and his whatever the fuck else.
Punting down the Seine, eating garlic.
Not wearing deodorant. That's a thing, right? That's a stereotype.
That is a big stereotype. Growing a very curly moustache.
Twirling it like an evil boy.
Wearing a turtleneck.
Oh, Jeff.
I love anal sex. All right.
So, yeah. Sorry, you got to go first twice.
I guess I'll go. Thanks, Jeff.
My
story this week is called The Buff Cat Forever, Pirates of Darkwater, Inuyasha Resurgence.
Buff Cat!
I had a better title, but then I fell asleep and I didn't write it down, so it's lost to time.
Did you fall asleep on the keyboard? Is that why all those random words came out?
My dick was out too, so that might have had something to do with it.
That explains why there were some spaces in it, yeah.
Yeah, there's some. I had to get a new keyboard. All right. Quickly, get him inside, Fred screamed as Demi and Tiny Chickpea tried to help Fred carry a 500-pound muscle cat into the Flamingo's headquarters. Oh, no. He was broken and bruised and unconscious. What, happened? Chick asked. Remember last week when that dog man tore ass out of here on that forklift? Fred asked. Vaguely, who can remember anything we do on this show? I mean around here, Demi said, looking at the camera-ly. Well, Fred went on, some grudges die hard. Fred lowered his head and looked at his friend Buffcat as the giant cat coughed up blood and viscera. Get him on the bar, Chick said, waving her wand and releasing healing magics. Quickly, some of Buffcat's most mortal wounds began to close, but not enough. Demi joined in and used her holy magic to help, but it was not enough. Buffcat was just too big, and the wounds were too deep.
It was too buff.
Come on.
He's too
Too
cat.
much muscle. Not enough fat. Too much muscle. That's why you should eat some fat.
Yeah, avocados,
Right?
Buffcat. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, dingus. Come on, guys, don't give up, Fred cried. He placed his head down on Buffcat's forehead and began to cry. You son of a bitch, he said. I've seen you in worse shape than this. I've seen you overcome worse than a stupid werewolf. You can't leave me now. Get up, you bastard, Fred yelled. We can, stabilize him, but we need time, Chick said. Fred stood up quickly and looked for a bottle of anything strong and clear. Good idea, Uncle Steakums. That could help with infection, Demi said, still concentrating. Yeah, Fred stopped short. Yeah, I was just thinking that. For Buffcat, this was for him, he said, as he took a quick swig and began to pour some into a cleanish rag and apply it to Buffcat's wounds. Buffcat hissed and growled and remained pretty much out of it. Remember the good old days, old Fred said quietly. Remember what I always told you. Fred leaned back and took a much larger swig of clear booze. Mew, 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 he said as a tear rolled down his cheek. 45 cat years ago. Deep in the southern regions of Daranos, war raged. The cat cities all burned as roving gangs of pirates and gangs looted and plundered their way through the streets. A young teenage orange cat hid in an alleyway as the buildings he used to know burned around him. The laughter of evil was all around him. As the fire blazed, his eyes blazed hotter. He hissed under his breath, and his eyes reflected the light of the fire. Well, 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 what do we have here? A voice said from above. Young Cat looked up and hissed again. There, in the sky, was a mime walking down an imaginary set of stairs with an imaginary club in his hand. Along the alleyway, more mimes began to gather silently. On the mime's face was a mask of just a regular mime's face, but this one was magic or something, because as he spoke, the mask changed expressions like that tattoo of those masks that theater chicks get because they think they're gonna make it on Broadway by being the most annoying type of person on earth, an enthusiastic one who sings songs about what they're doing in a play instead of acting.
That's felt targeted.
So specific.
Rich, you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Ooh, such anger, said the first mime. Would you look at this, boys? We got ourselves a badass. The rest of the mimes mimicked laughing by doing that thing where you laugh silently, then you grab your chests, and then you laugh silently again. Mew, 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 young cat said quietly. That's going to be hard. Allow me to introduce myself. As if you don't know already, I am Daffy No Stairs, and this is my gang of mime pirates, the Miming Guild, he said with a flourish. And the rest of the mimes just silently applauded. Mew, 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 young cat asked. No, not Mining Guild, Miming Guild, Daffy corrected. I mean, obviously it's miming and not mining. I mean, look at us. We're the finest and fittest gang in all the great city of Albuquerque. Stupid. What a stupid show.
Yep.
What the fuck are we doing? Yep. Buffcat looked around at mimes pretending to smoke imaginary pipes and pull on imaginary ropes. One even opened an imaginary door and walked out of it waving like he was on the set of Home Improvement or something.
I can see it.
Tim the Mime Man Taylor. Now give us all you have or else we're going to beat you to death, Daffy said as he wrapped the imaginary club against his left palm. Mew, mew, young cat said as he spat real spit into the mime's masked face. Daffy's mask frowned as he rubbed the spit from his mask. Slowly he began to remove it from his face. Young cat braced for what unbelievable horror could be underneath such an evil-looking mask. Slowly, the mask revealed just a regular guy with another mime face painted on it, on his regular dumbass face. Mew, 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 Puffcat said. What? It's a cool mask! You think I'm not gonna wear this cool thing even though I have a regular mime face? Fuck you, man! Get a load of this guy, boys. Oh, brother, Daffy said, turning to his minions, a.k.a. his minions.
Oh,
Minions.
Oh, no.
Learn from the best, Rich. Just then, as he turned, Daffy swung his imaginary club and smacked Young Cat squarely in the jaw, sending him flying several feet into the air into a dumpster. As Young Cat lay there in the rotting waste, he rubbed his chin in disbelief. Home run! Daffy shouted to the silent claps and cheers of his minions. Young Cat popped his head out of the dumpster, and as he saw stars. Suddenly, a wooden door slammed open along with a cacophonous noise of new metal being played. Woo! Bone Chevelle rules! The lone straggler shouted as he came out the door, already unzipping his pantaloons. You're all I've got tonight. I'm gonna blast piss, all right. Oh, yeah, he began to sing. As he fully, unashamedly began to blast piss against the side of the building. The mimes were silent. Well, I mean, they're always silent, but they were silent in this case because nobody knew what to say about this dude just dropping hog in the middle of the alley and yellow power washing the side of the sleazy bar. Excuse me, Daffy said, annoyed. The guy just rose one finger as if to say, 1 second, but then he slid it down and replaced it with his middle finger as if to say, one fuck you, dickweed, as he continued to blast hot piss against the cold brick wall. Excuse me, Daffy now shouted as he began to swing his club. The dude simply ducked midstream, and in one fluid, no pun intended motion, he put his piece away, zipped up, grabbed the imaginary club as he turned around and used the club as a lever to lift and then slam the mime into the dirt. What, God? What do you want? The clearly drunken young... who's talking? Who? What is this? I'm very tired. What? God, what do you want? The clearly drunken young man said, his slurring as he looked down at the mime who was stunned to silence. Again, mimes are silent, I know, but you know what I'm saying, right? Look, I didn't choose the prompt, okay? Some computer did, and that computer's name is Rich Masters, and he's worse than AI.
I am.
He has half a Terminator face and makes us sit in a room with all these chimpanzees and just write stories. I mean, I love him. All hail Rich and his never-ending love.
Yeah, you fucking better say that.
Or hell.
Half Terminator face. The young man began to laugh as he looked down and pointed at the dusty-ass silent clown in the crowd. The fuck is you supposed to be? You look like a tattoo my ex used to have. Yeah, we get it, Sarah. You're gonna be an actor. Okay, yeah. We are the Miming Guild, Albuquerque's most famous and fabulous gang of... But Daffy was cut short before he could finish. Wait, are you saying Miming Guild? The man asked. Oh, for the love of fuck, Miming Guild, Daffy shouted. Mew, 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 the young cat said from inside the dumpster. Right? You heard mining too, the man asked the young cat. See, even that dumpster kid heard it. Enough! Mimes! Mime symbol! Daffy shouted as the rest of the gang began twirling invisible nunchucks and flicking open invisible switchblades. One elaborate mime was even loading shells into an invisible shotgun, complete with cocking it. All right, pussies, the young man said. Time to get your pussies from out of your own pussy. He cracked his knuckles and flexed so hard his denim vest ripped, showing his impossibly torqued out guns. And boom, he said as he took a swing at the first mime he saw. The mime's head exploded on impact, only to splatter against the piss-covered brick wall in the fresh shape of a brownie face. Next, the dude spun-kicked another mime in the face, knocking it right off of his skull. He then Van Damme split-kicked downward, instantly snapping the mime's ankles from out from under him. He kicked down once again, using the mime's exposed leg bones as pillar posts to nail him into the ground. Another roundhouse kick, and the mime's body twisted around 180 degrees, snapping his spine. And he simply held up a little flag that said, "Ouch." Meow! Young Cat said in awe. The dude then took Daffy and threw him into the piss puddle on the ground. Mime your way out of this, you invisible. Wait, mime your way out of my piss, you invisible wall fucking piece of shit. He said, all cool. Jesus Christ. Oh, God, why? Daffy screamed. Why does it smell like bacon? You need to see a doctor, man. Daffy said, spitting out a yellow stream.
You know that pee is really cloudy. That's like a morning pee.
It's like
lilt.
Yeah, it's like, like a night of a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
It's shooting 3 different ways. Anyway, as quickly as they had appeared, the mimes all began to skedaddle faster than Jeff skedaddled to a non-extradition country for his, quote, 10th wedding anniversary. You know who else skedaddled to France? Roman Polanski. I'm not saying they're connected, but do your own research.
I mean, he was saying some weird shit before we left. just saying.
This is for all that fucking Mein Kampf shit you guys pull.
This is why I'll never go on holiday again.
Okay, you better watch it. Mimes opened up imaginary doorways to nowhere and were gone. One opened up an umbrella and flew away like Mary fucking Poppins. Daffy himself ran up a set of imaginary stairs and then down another set like MC Escher as fuck. The mime with the imaginary shotgun simply turned the gun on himself, opened his mouth wide, and ate a leaded breakfast that splattered his brain all over the place. You alright, kid? The dude asked Young Cat as he helped him out of the dumpster. Mew, Young Cat said quickly. Look, have we met before? The dude asked. Mew, 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 Young Cat said. Well, in any case, name's Fred, and I'm here in town to train with the legendary Dickie Moldhill, the region's greatest trainer. I could use, a towel boy or something. Maybe even after a while, you'll prove that you have heart, and you can start training too. But you're probably gonna have to, defend the gym's honor, or save it from another half-ass attempt at arson or burglary from your mime friends back there. Mew, mew, Buff Cat said. After proving he had heart and doing one or both of those things that I said earlier, Young Cat was now training at a level not seen since Fred had joined. He was lifting bone cars and flipping them over. If you can lift a car, you can lift a criminal, Dickie Moldhill said. He was the 3-foot-tall, jacked gnome who was older than dust itself, like the original dust, the dust on your mama's clam hole. Fred taught him how to use nutrition to help his muscle mass. By that I mean Fred fed him steak for every meal. Steak shakes, steaks and waffles, pizza steak, steak gumbo, steak with steak on the side. But never, and I mean never, steak fries. Get that honky-ass shit out of my fucking face. There's more starch in one steak fry than an Irish prostitute's panties.
Good callback to episode 1 as well.
Young Cat was becoming more, not quite yet Buff Cat, but more mildly ripped cat. Dickie sent him to the wheel of pain. For months, mildly ripped cat toiled under the Albuquerquean suns, pushing a seemingly pointless wheel around in the desert. Often Mickey and Fred would add their weight to the already grueling weight of the wheel. Let's go, pussy lips, Dickie screamed. This is the worst merry-go-round I've ever ridden on. And I've ridden on your mother's escalator, a revolving door that leads straight to her open and waiting gooch. On a little horsey, Dickie sat while Fred was cramped into a little fish that had been attached to the wheel of pain. Fred was eating cotton candy, but steak-flavored. Mildly ripped cat pressed on. He pushed until his claws broke and bled all over the now smooth wood of the wheel. If you can push a wheel, you can push a criminal, Dickie said. Fred just rolled his eyes. Soon, Mildly Ripped Cat became officially a Buff Cat. Dickie and Fred would make him serve them a full steak dinner blindfolded while trying to hit him with sticks. Buff Cat almost failed, but at the last minute grabbed the stick from Dickie's hand and turned his head slowly and said, Mew, 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 mew. You done good, kid, Fred said, patting his friend on the back. Now you can have your revenge or whatever. I'm not really sure. I sort of assume this is about revenge. I don't know, Fred said with all of his heart. Mew, 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 Buff Cat said, hugging Fred. Just remember, kid, Fred said. Mew, 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 mew. Mew, 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 mew. And with that, Buff Cat went off for his revenge or whatever his motivations were. I don't know.
Words to live by.
Well, if it isn't that cat kid who we beat up like several months to a year ago, Daffy said as he sat atop an invisible throne, his minions again fake laughing. Looks like someone was doing some training, Daffy said. It matters not. Well, let's get this story over with, Daffy said, jumping down onto the ground. His minions all brandished their invisible weapons, complete with a new shotgun mime who was loading another invisible shotgun. Or maybe it was the same one. Maybe it was his brother who had taken his own life. Maybe it was his own brother who had taken his own life at the last battle with Fred, and this mime was vowing revenge. Every night, cleaning the shotgun and imagining his revenge on Buff Cat and Fred. An eye for an eye and the world goes blind. Or as I always say, be born legally blind and get your revenge on the world by making it legally blind.
It's on your it's on your family crest, isn't it?
That's right. That and an anxious guy just being like, what's that sound? Get it, boys! Daffy said with a twirl. Buff Cat had yet to get any of his cool weapons, kind of like Wolverine in that one really bad Wolverine movie. He doesn't have his adamantine claws yet. So like Wolverine, he's going to have to use his regular claws, but at least they're not like bone claws or whatever stupid shit that is. You can't just take something that's usually made of metal and then make it into bones because it happened a long time ago before metal. Just then, a bone car pulled up. As the mimes began to impossibly pile out of the clown style. Some had invisible chains with locks on the end so they could mollywop Buff Cat. Others had invisible bone knuckles as brass hadn't been invented yet. What a stupid joke. What kind of...
I don't know how you haven't made that one before.
I don't know. If you can flip a car, you can flip a criminal. Dick's soothing words of wisdom echoed in Buff Cat's mind.
Soothing.
With a pounce, he leapt forward and flipped over the bone car, smashing almost every mime. Instead of pretending they couldn't find a way out of an invisible room, they were now trying to find a way out underneath a bone car, pressing frantically to find an opening that would prevent them from bleeding to death eternally over the next several minutes. A Mimian took a cheap shot and hit Buff Cat on the head with an invisible bat. Buff Cat snarled as he felt blood trickle down his back. He slowly turned to find the mime begging for mercy. But there would be no mercy today or ever again. Buff Cat used his regular non-bone claws to slice through the mime, creating a wipe transition to the next scene, where a group of mimes were now surrounding him. This is so good. He hissed and growled. They jumped and began to beat him senselessly. Daffy laughed as he got in a few cheap shots with his club. As all was turning dark, as Buff Cat began to fall again to this gang of foppish freaks whose art is as dead as my love or for feeling anything alive or beautiful.
Wow.
Shotgun Mime slowly walked up and needlessly cocked the shotgun as people do in shows and stuff. Like, the round is in there. You're just wasting them. That one didn't even shoot. Pick it up off the ground and fucking put it back in the gun. Ammo's expensive, dog. We're gonna need it for shooting the cops. I mean, definitely not that.
Definitely.
As Shotgun Mime took aim, everything began to slow down. This was it. This was the end. Just then, a burly fist burst through Shotgun Mime's face from behind. He slumped down, and out of his imaginary shotgun, a flag shot out that said, "Bang!" But all went dark as Buff Cat slipped it back into silence. Back at Flamingo headquarters, Fred sat with Buff Cat alone. At night, Demi and Chick had done all they could, and now only time would tell whether or not Buff Cat succumbed to his wounds. If you don't come back, I'm gonna gonna hit you with the steak stick, Fred sobbed. You stupid idiot. You leave me here, I'll kill you if you die. Slowly, Buff Cat opened his eyes and managed to spit out a single word. Meow. To be continued.
Oh, no!
That was so cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the wipe that I just
Yeah.
It was like I was there, being wiped.
Yeah. Being wiped. It was like you were being wiped, yeah.
Have you never done a Buff Cat origin? You've done Flyman. No, you definitely haven't.
I don't remember. I thought I did one where he kind of met with Fred, but I didn't go back and look, and I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't think I did one when he was little.
Yeah.
No, I never did that.
You haven't done one of those. That was really good.
So maybe just kind of like, no, thank you. It was something.
I loved the adamantium bone joke. I just when you said shit Wolverine film, I was like, which one is he referring to?
Yeah, there's a few. The one with Sabretooth.
Yeah.
That one sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
That one's
Origins?
particularly. Yeah, that one.
Do you know what though? I didn't actually mind Leif Schreiber as Sabretooth. I thought he was fucking totally
No.
wasted. But
Which one's the one where they're in Japan?
That's the
Is that
second
that
one.
Yeah, that's the other one.
That one's a little. That's the one with Deadpool.
no, that's the
other one.
Origins.
That's Origins, yeah.
Oh my god.
The second one's the one that is okay up until
Yeah.
the really ridiculous sequence with the bullet train where they're somehow
Oh, yeah, we had
hanging
to fight
on,
on the bullet train, yeah.
and when Silver Samurai is a robot at
Yeah.
the end.
That's right. Silver Samurai's a robot.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
Which why? Just make him a guy.
Yeah.
They don't explain it. You're in a world with a Wolverine. Like, who cares?
Well, especially because his sword is supposed to be able to cut through adamantium anyway, so it doesn't really matter if he's a
What does
robot
he have?
or not.
Super adamantium?
Double
he can,
adamantium.
he can, yeah, blamamadium.
Double mantium? Oh my god.
But yeah, those films are.
Yeah, they're not good.
Yeah.
I don't even really.
It's crazy he did them. It's crazy
Yeah,
he did them.
I don't even get why people glaze so much about Logan because it's all right. It's good, but it's not like the best thing ever.
It's not that good.
I think it's good by comparison.
Yeah, it's good because it's like sad.
Yeah, yeah. For a while, everyone loved
that means it's
sad
good.
superhero films, didn't they? Or sad.
Yeah,
films
you
in
know
general.
what? I live a sad superhero life. I don't want to see one.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was really
Thank
good.
you. Suck my dick, Jeff.
Yeah, quality's gone up because you're in Paris.
Did you see all that food he's eating over there?
Yeah, he ate at that restaurant that I recommended, which I was really, really pleased with. But
Did he walk in and say, "My friend Rich told me to come here. I'm
bonjour,
American. Buongiorno, folks.
Bon Jovi.
Yeehaw, where I put my 6-piece?
Pew pew pew.
Pew, pew, pew. Let me eat some of them snails.
Where be your fancy spittoon?
Escargot.
Escargot.
I need a spittoon for my penis, if you know what I mean.
Because I love this food. What is it again?
Bread, you said? Oh, hell.
Can you give me some of those native fries you got?
Native fries. Jeez.
Native American fries.
Oh, man. Right. Okay.
Right.
Part 1 done. Lots of Jeff jokes. Expect those for the second part. We're going to be right back with Spivzy. And we don't even know what genre they're doing. Don't tell us, Spivzy.
I don't even know.
Neither do I.
back, everyone. One part down, 2 parts to go. This is, as usual, the sandwich filling is normally the guest filling.
The cream filling.
Creamy,
will
delicious.
soon to be.
The Marmite of...
I know what Marmite is, but Jeff doesn't know what Marmite is. Could you explain that?
It's like yeast paste.
Yep.
Oh, so prostitute paste, guys.
Yeah.
Do you not have Marmite or Vegemite in the States?
We have them. I've had Marmite. I have not had Vegemite. I hear Vegemite's terrible.
I don't know which one's better. I hate them both. Although they're good, like
they're
not
not
good.
salt in or something.
Oh, maybe one's salted and one's unsalted.
Yeah,
Vegemite's
like
Australian though.
butter. Yeah.
Yeah, Vegemite's Australian. I'm not eating anything from those like under the world fucking criminal bitches. Am I right, fellow Englishmen?
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Down with France.
Yeah, fuck you, Australia and France. Not America though. Please don't hate us,
Yeah, right.
guys. Right?
I've told you, we've got a spare room. You can come and live here. But not Jeff,
gonna
because
come
he's
for
in
Evans.
France.
He made
Come
his
for Evan's
choice.
birthday, which is my birthday.
Yeah, it's your birthday on Saturday.
Yeah,
My
yippee.
my 2 boys' birthdays.
I bet Evan's getting something better than I am, though.
What's Evan getting? His grandparents are buying him a guitar.
Oh, nice.
An electric guitar?
No, he wants to learn on an acoustic. So
I like Jarvis Cocker.
he's going to be one of those
Is he gonna-
dickheads who brings it out at parties when no one wants him.
He's gonna rock some Billy Bragg or what? What's going on?
We have bought him what have we bought him? Some stuff he wanted, like he wanted Zootopia or Zootropolis, whatever it's called, depending on which side of the world you're on.
Zootropolis!
It's called Zootropolis here.
It's what it's called here. Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that different?
I have
than
no
Zootopia?
idea. I have
What's
no
the
idea.
difference?
I can only assume that European audiences don't know what a metropolis is. But so he wanted that, so we got him the sequel to that. What else did he get? We got him like a rocket, because he loves going to the beach and throwing like a ball for that strange
With his dog. With his dog that he stole.
Yeah. But there's this rocket that like is like an American football with like a rocket
like
on
a
the
Nerf
end,
one.
so you can like a Nerf one, and it whistles as it goes through the air. And he
Oh,
loves.
we had those when we were kids.
Yeah,
them,
exactly. But he wants one so he can take it and play with Trevor on the beach.
Wait till it gets cold and that little whistle thing smacks him in the hand. Shit.
We got him. He wanted a new Miles Morales costume, so we got him one of those. And he wanted
That's supposed to tell us he's Spider-Man.
and then he wanted an axe throwing kit, and we were like,
What?
Sick.
but we got him we got him ones that are like almost like stippled, so that they're like plastic
Yeah.
but they stick together. So he
Yeah,
wanted
stick
that.
together. Yeah.
So yeah, he also wanted a punching bag, and we were like, I'm not too sure at the moment if that's a
train
good
I have a
idea.
punching bag.
He
Yeah,
is-
what's he he's
I have
fucking
no
Spider-Man,
idea.
dude.
I have no idea. But all his things are about
like,
physical activity. Oh, and he's got some books.
Yeah.
He wanted some books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
There you go.
I don't think I'm going to get Mexican food. That's what I'm.
That's good. That's good. Has Jeff sent you that parcel that I sent to him yet?
Yeah, I got it. I went to tell you, but
Nice.
I don't have a thing for it, so I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, good. But there you go.
I need
That's a birthday present.
Jeff got me a knife that I swiftly cut myself with.
On purpose?
No, it's like a really complicated. It's a really cool. Like it's like almost like an art. Like it's like art almost.
Right.
Like it folds out weird, and I didn't know how to do it. So I'm like trying to fuck with it, and then like just yoink right into my finger.
Is it like a butterfly knife type of deal?
No, but I'll show you. I'll show
All
you what it is. It's hard to explain.
Okay. All right.
Knives are like guns, but they're pointy.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Right. We don't have weapons here. We just have harsh.
We
You don't have
no.
the.
We have
Well,
clubs.
yours are like stapled to your counter, right? Because you're like people stab people or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
Is that,
yeah.
is that a thing?
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah. We have
had
a big
to-
statue made out of knives that goes around from town to town.
Yeah, it's in
telling
Plymouth
people
at the
not to stab
moment.
people.
The Knife
yeah.
Angel.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait.
So it's made up of knives that gang members have handed in or had confiscated to remind people that they can hand the knives in anonymously and stuff like that. And it goes around from town to town. And it was in Plymouth like a week ago. So
did you hand in all your illegal knives?
Oh, fuck no. If ever,
are they going to make a throne out of it? Because this is Game of Thrones.
It does look, Spivzy, it looks very Game of Thrones-ish, doesn't
It's huge as well.
It's massive. It's like 15 feet tall.
What is it? What is it?
Knife
it's just a
angel.
Lump of knife?
It's like a sculpture.
It's
Its wings are knives.
That's like fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Because
I don't know if I like that.
Because you could break one off and then go on a rampage.
Here's the thing about here's the thing about like a sharp object. You can make it out of any goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Like
that's what shivs are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shivzy. That's what Shivzy.
Shivzy. Yeah.
Speaking of Shivzy, right, it's your turn, bud.
We fucked around enough.
That was a segue.
6 minutes. That's our limit for segues.
We don't have this. What happens? We don't have Jeff to be like, guys, shut up.
All right. Does that mean you want to hear a story then?
I do want to hear a story.
Yeah.
I wanted to title this so it would like go through a few different demographics and stuff.
Right.
So I've titled it Finnegan's Wake 2, Let's Get Busy, a Star Wars story.
A Star Wars story.
You know what? I'm in.
To the outside observer, the island nation of Bezelby looked to be about as inviting as a brick to the head and a kick in the balls. To the inside observer, the Bezelbanes themselves, this assessment was entirely accurate, though they would rather put a badger down their pants than admit that to anyone. Outside observers could say whatever they wanted, but a true Bezelbane would never concede a point or claim another nation was right about them. They were as inviting as a rock to the dome and a kick in the taint, thank you very much.
lot of rocks to heads and dick kicking.
National sport.
Bezelby's rich and storied history of weaponised contrarianism had left them a people who took their traditions to heart, all while simultaneously agreeing that their traditions made very little sense or were overly dangerous.
Oh.
Not to say this was a case of traditionalism being a prevailing factor in their lives, or that they revered the past in any way. The people of Bezelby bitched endlessly about the archaic bureaucracy of their lives. It was more a national refusal to say, at any point in history, that they might have been wrong about anything.
Spivzy, have you had reform candidates show up on your doorstep by any chance? Because
We did have conservatives showing up.
oh god, because this smacks of someone who's been sick and tired of racist politicians turning up on their doorstep.
Yep.
Relin, like all decent folk, had taken aggressive obstinacy to heart. Her own particular brand of bloody-mindedness and refusal to take a hint had led her to choosing the worst possible profession on the entire island. Relin was a vault picker, making her living, in a loose term, as a delver of the clockwork vaults of the God Wall, a career choice that was about as lucrative as selling your fingernails to a fisherman, and just as difficult to explain.
Hey, it's a living.
It's Josh's childhood hustle.
More fingernails, Mr. Fisherman.
50 silver, that's my cheapest key mask. A face more moustache than man leaned back on a worn stool and peered half-lidded at the exhausted-looking woman at his store counter, and that's me being generous. Relin placed her stack of coins on the counter, a pile that was not, by any means, 50 silver. Are you insane? I can't afford 50, it was 20 last time. How long have you been picking for now, Relin? The man asked, though he already knew the answer. 3 years, she answered in a clipped tone. Most pickers don't break even until their 5th year, Merrick. Relin tapped on the counter near the coins with an index finger, as if that illustrated her point. It didn't, but it made her feel better. You've been selling keys since before I was born. You know the first years are about investment. Yeah, Merrick sighed. I know the stats. You're not the only one I get in here trying their luck with the wall. Fact is, though, love, I've been selling you key masks every weekend at a fraction of what the market would have me charge, and I've done it willingly, happily even. But that was under the assumption at some point you'd find a vault with more than a few bits of ceramic and a bone. And I told you already, most pickers are high risk, high reward route. You pour your money with a crew, get a decent key for the higher vaults and split the loot. It's a once-a-year job if you do it right. You don't spend 3 years buying low-tier copper horse shit and expecting to get lucky. Yeah, I know, Merrick. I wasn't born yesterday. Relin made no move.
Palpatine's not her dad.
Relin made no move to actually pay the man the amount he felt owed, but left a small pile of coins on the counter between them. She crossed her arms with a defiant scoff. One she hoped showed her disdain for the idea of splitting a single coin with the loudmouth vault picker crews, and not one that showed her disdain for Merrick in particular. She did feel some disdain for him. He was actively preventing her from working right now, but there was always the issue of professional courtesy, so she thought it best to be fully transparent. Don't expect me to split a single coin with those loudmouth vault picker crews shambling around the god wall. You know what they're like. They see a shimmer of gold, they get greedy, and next thing you know, they're using your bare face as a key, thinking they'll get lucky enough for a free entry. Merrick's moustache bristled at the thought. Even people who had never been within a mile of the god wall knew what a maskless entry meant. Every morning, as the sun rose above the eastern seas, hitting the cliff face of the god wall, the structure would answer as it had for as long as anyone could remember. Everyone called it the dawn shift, and it was an event that even after centuries of familiarity remained completely unexplained. The entire face of the wall, stretching a half-mile in either direction and descending further into the seabed than anyone could guess, would begin to move. Hundreds and sometimes thousands of granite and steel cubes would rotate and shift into complex configurations, swapping positions in a way that defied any architectural logic. The sound it made was that of a mountain rearranging its own skeleton, a deep grinding force of tectonic activity.
Whoa.
And on each of those vault doors was a face, an actual impression of a real face, pressed into metal like a stamp, with a nose, brow, the set of a jaw, and the hollow of closed eyes. If your face matched the impression of the door, it would open. If it didn't, the door stayed shut. Key masks were the intermediary, a clockwork face capable of shifting and arranging itself to conform to the lock. But if you pressed a bare face to a non-matching door, the wall refused entry and took collateral. I can tell by your look that you want to help me. I can tell by your look that you want to help me. I mean, shit, Merrick. If I don't have a key mask, the vaults will literally remove my face. Just right off. Relin puckered her lips and went cross-eyed, the universal sign for not having a face anymore. Merrick
It's true.
Merrick closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The wall won't remove your face if you just avoid the doors, you fucking plum. Do something else with your life. It's not even a lucrative business. I make more money selling masks to you wankers than you do opening vaults. 35 silver, final offer. Merrick drummed his fingers on the counter, eyeing the pile of coins, before turning and grabbing a clockwork mask from under the table. This is the last one, Rel. You either come in here with a bag of gold, or you don't come in at all. I knew you'd see things my way, you old codger. Relin gave the man an insincere wink and took the mask. A low-quality copper facsimile, with some movable leather parts around the eyes and cheekbones. Few of them would be found on the steel or mythium types. She tucked it into a worn, brown sheepskin satchel alongside the rest of her kit. Rope, a sparklight, and a collection of tools that would have her mistaken for a poor carpenter. She turned and waved a goodbye and made for the door. You want to pick up some new boots and all, Rel, Merrick observed. You're going to run those things down before the month is through. Fuck off, Merrick. You too, love.
Fuck you, Merrick.
On the eastern seaboard of Bezelby, the only work came in the form of ships and vaults, for many, both at the same time. Hourly trips on small vessels would brave the calms around the perimeter of the island, moor against the wall and wait for pickers to finish, then transport them back to dry land. The issue
this
with
is
this
a real
was,
place, right? As an American, I'm just trying.
Oh, yeah, this is real. Yeah, this isn't
This
Dover.
is a real
yeah.
place. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you got it.
The issue with this was, like most things, people like to be paid for their services. Relin wasn't a fan of paying for things if she could avoid it. Instead, she always opted for the trader's route, passing alongside the dock, then up towards the pop-up market village leading to the cliff edge. From there, she could abseil down and find a good-looking door without any money changing hands, the same way she'd always done it. The eastern dock in the morning was a guarantee of sawdust in the eye, with vessels jostling for position along the moorings and wall runners being loaded and checked by their crews. She was given the option of a sailor's life once, but Relin declined on the basis of aesthetics. She'd look awful in stripes, and the salt-bitten sea air did terrible things to her complexion. Even still, she had a long familiarity with the docks and could thread between the coiled ropes and stacked crates with just the right amount of know-how to avoid tetanus without being asked to help load cargo. Despite this familiarity, Relin never once acquainted herself with any of the ships, so one stopping her mid-stride wasn't something the dock usually managed. Unlike the flat-bottomed war runners built for short journeys in calmer seas, this one was broad-hauled and imposing, built for the deep and stormy, with a double mast and rigging suited for crew who expected more than the worst. "Gully!" Relin called out to the small crew loading provisions, and one of the figures turned to her. A broad-shouldered woman with a shaved head dropped the barrel she'd been hoisting and dusted off her hands, grinning into the early morning sunlight. Gully was a sailor by every metric of the word, working the seaboard since before Relin picked up her first mask, and she knew the waters towards the Western Islands better than anyone else had the sense to. Gully looked as though she was born in a crow's nest, and only stepped on land to drink, fight and fuck, sometimes in that order. Relin, you sack of shit. Relin, you sack of shit, standard Bezelbane greeting. If you're here for passage, you can piss off. The Skarmoth needs more meat on its bone than you can give it. She bellowed a laugh, grabbing Relin's skinny arm and giving it a shake. Relin rubbed where she'd been shook, trying not to make a thing of it, and gestured towards the ship. So, not a war runner then, is what you're saying? A bastard like this? She'd snap a runner in half and pick her teeth with the splinters. Gully slapped the wood of the hull with a heavy hand. We're taking this beast past the East Storms. The East Storms were a permanent fixture of Bezelby's horizon, a churning knot of weather sitting roughly 60 miles out, that had, in all of recorded history, simply never stopped. Ships that had attempted to pass through tended to come back short of crew or never at all. One time, a man named Sad Pete, later Crazy Pete, and eventually Dead Pete, was a sole returning sailor from a crew of 80. Before they left, everyone called him Regular Pete. The East Storms had that effect on people.
I didn't even call him Pete. Regular Pete. It's like
Regular Pete.
regular-sized Rudy.
Yeah. So, when should I plan the funeral for? Relin asked, deadpan. We ship out at dawn tomorrow. Someone's got to find out what's out there, Rel. Gully nodded with a conviction. Might as well be us. Been sitting on that horizon my whole life, waiting for someone with balls brass enough to breach it. Gully had the kind of expression that made you feel a little ashamed about not wanting to drown. Well, I'm going to wish you luck, offer my condolences and get going. Before she could step back, Gully pulled her into a bruising embrace that smelled weirdly of barnacles. Relin felt her spine distend before she was released. Gully slapped her shoulder. Good luck not getting your face sucked off. Cheers, Gully. I'll try my best. The Cliff Market was, in Relin's professional opinion as a 3-year God War veteran, the absolute worst part of the entire vault-picking experience. And that was with her factoring in the chance of getting her face sheared off. Mask repair kits, 80 silver, mask repair kits. At least with the face shearing, it was a binary possibility. You either did or you didn't, and it was all entirely within your own control. The Cliff Market had considerably more variables to deal with. 15 pouches, only 100 silver. Carry your loot, 15 pouches. Relin shoved past...
silver? That's all my loot!
Relin shoved past the pouch peddler, only to run straight into one of those annoying variables. This one being a grizzled, frizzled and frazzled old man who could have been 22 with a poor concept of skincare, or an 86-year-old with a relatively good one. Either way, he was heavily armed with a heavy armful.
Rich.
Either way, he was heavily armed with a heavy armful of dubious-looking climbing equipment and a refusal to accept the chorus of hard no's from every passing picker within a haggle distance. 10 metres of prime rope. I'll give it to you for 100 silver, the vendor croaked.
Jesus fucking Christ!
These prices, man.
I know these prices.
10 meters of rope?
The vendor croaked, thrusting a handful of ragged twine towards her, the smell of seawater hitting hard enough to burn her eyelashes off. He'd clearly just stolen mooring lines from the harbour. Relin violently swatted the sodden mess away before it attracted a flock of seagulls. The animal, not the band. I wouldn't hang myself with that shit. Get it away from me. The vendor opened his mouth to argue, but before he could offer a discount, Relin felt it. The heavy and entirely unwanted presence of a larger man stepping up behind her, and a thick, calloused hand ever so presumptuously resting upon her shoulder. Then the faux superior tones of a self-appointed saviour looking to score cheap points. You heard the lady friend. She doesn't want any. Rellin's jaw clenched hard enough for the teeth to squeak. Absolutely nothing grated on her nerves faster than being treated like she was in need of rescue. It deeply made her wish their harsh little society had bothered to invent some kind of messianic figure, just so she had a holy name to say in vain. Weirdly enough, there was a Jesus Christ living in Bezelby, but he was a huge dick.
Just like the first one.
Just like the real one, yeah. Real.
Real one.
She shoved the hand off her shoulder and twisted around to glare at her towering saviour and settled for fuck off instead. Relin had been born with a bitter spoon in her mouth, and she'd sooner throw herself off this fucking cliff than let some high-breeched, satin-overcoat-wearing, crew-picking piece of oil-up chest speak for her. Hey now, the man said, holding up his hands in a calm-down gesture, having the exact opposite effect. Just saving you from a local nuisance. There's no need to bite. Relin's eye twitched. You know what? She said, grabbing the lobster-chewed rope and digging into her pockets for the loose change she'd been planning to turn into a pie later. This grubby pile of garbage is exactly what I've been looking for. To agree with this tall drink of cow's milk would be a betrayal of everything her stubborn little island stood for. Unlike some people, I can appreciate craftsmanship. The weaselly little freak looked at the coin shoved into his hands and back at Relin. You're serious? Oh shit, man. I can't believe that finally worked. I've been putting this scheme for 6 months and, pleasure doing business, ma'am. He squeaked.
You made 100 silver in 6 months? That's a terrible scam.
He squeaked, taking his toupee off to respectfully bow, doing a jiggy little jump and disappearing into the crowd before she could ask for a refund.
Fucking rope leprechaun.
He didn't even care that he'd been given 3 copper and a button. Hard work paid off. Relin turned to her would-be rescuer, clutching the crab-scented bundle, to confirm that he was exactly as she'd expected. Pristine, reinforced leather armour that had never seen a day of work, and a haircut you could set your watch to. A proper bell end. Definitely part of a crew. The man swallowed. We need a 4th for our team if you're... Thanks, Relin interrupted, but I'm good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a cliff to jump off, and I suggest you do the same. Relin left him blinking, turned on her heel and marched away. It was a profoundly terrible financial decision, but the petty afterglow of shoving it in a complete stranger's big stupid face was entirely worth it.
Amen.
By the time she reached the precipice of the wall, the adrenaline of victory had faded into the cold and damp reality of being the proud owner of cold and damp twine. A mermaid's armpit of rotting fibre with the tensile strength of a fart. The rope that Relin had brought with her in her satchel was perfectly healthy 20 metres, one which did not in any way smell like a fish's arsehole. It was sturdy and reliable, and common sense would say that she just tossed the garbage rope off the cliff and got to work. But Relin paused back towards the marketplace. The tall stack of pancakes she'd recently devastated with her quick thinking wasn't in sight, but that didn't mean he wasn't watching, waiting for her to slip up. For all she knew, some other punctuable part of his team was peering through a telescope waiting to declare victory over her convictions. If she didn't use the rope, he won. If she used only the rope, she would plummet to her death, which meant he still won, and she wouldn't be able to argue about it because she'd be dead. Still, spurred on by spite, she started to rig her descent, securing the good rope to one of the iron moorings hammered into the cliffside. Then she took the garbage rope and coiled it around and alongside her structural line, like a cosmetic layer of slime. Relin backed off the edge of the god wall into a miserable descent. The bad rope immediately began shedding wet, crusty flakes of scum directly into her eyes and mouth. While simultaneously snapping in completely useless places and leaving long dangling tails to whip her in the face. But she endured it with the grimace of a woman making a very important point to absolutely nobody.
Rachel, is this you?
I'm not going to say anything.
Partway down, she found a door that looked promising, a face with a single carved circle looping around it, signifying a low-tier vault with an easily cracked lock. It had the impression of a stern man who looked like someone had just told him his conduct was unbecoming. So that was weird. It had the impression of a stern man who looked like someone had just told him his conduct was unbecoming for his role as a postman. It was a very specific sort of expression, but it really did just look like that. Redding locked her harness to free her hands and pulled the cheap copper mask from her bag. Merrick had really done whatever the opposite of outdoing yourself was. Indoing yourself? Underdoing yourself? That one didn't get a squiggly red line, so it's probably that one. However the correct terminology goes, the mask wasn't winning any awards at the Bezelby Fair, unless the award was for worst use of leather, and that award always went to old Mrs. Higginthrope, for reasons we won't get into here.
Oh,
Higginthrope, you dirty bitch.
you slimy grandma.
The clockwork dial on the centre of the backplate, which could be twisted until the features slotted nicely into the lock, had flecks of dried oil in the spokes, and the chin guard hadn't been properly affixed, meaning she would need to use both hands to hold the mask in place. Still, it was a damn sight safer than using her own head. The mask settled just above the indentation, almost fitting but with sizable gaps in the cheeks and brow. A few twists of the dial would be enough, but she soon found it sticking, the mechanism straining. "Come on, you useless piece of shit," she cursed, wiggling the mask until the stubborn brow line finally clicked into place. The circle of stone and metal surrounding the mask grunted into movement, sending down a cloud of dust and spinning counterclockwise until the seams aligned. The two sides of the door began to open inwards, and an exhalation of ancient air burst from the gloom, smelling like 1,000 years of dust and stale seawater. Relin swung in through the opening, planting her feet firmly before unclipping herself from the line, and turned to grab the mask. She gave it a firm tug, but it didn't budge. Somewhere in the unlocking process, the gears had gotten lodged and embedded themselves firmly. It was a risk you had to take with these copper masks. Higher tier ones had another few configurations in them. Copper, though, that was one and done. Usually Relin would leave this one to the vault, but after spending the last of her change on algae, she needed some spare parts to trade. She gave it a harder pull, planting one boot against the lintel, not realising she'd placed her other shoe directly on a glob of slob. She gasped, her foot shooting out from underneath her. Whoa! Gravity had never been adequately explained on the island of Bezelby. Most people said the moon was to blame in some way, and to be fair, they weren't entirely wrong. They did think it was because the moon was a big face, though, and when he whistled a tune, it made gravity happen.
That's pretty accurate.
Bezelby wasn't a nation of scientists, let's say that. Either way, that unexplainable force had enthusiastically taken over, and Relin pitched backwards out of the door, her hands flying out in a desperate panic. Her fingers slammed onto the stone lip of the vault, nails scraping against the granite as she suddenly found herself dangling over her... It's hard to talk after a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need a drink?
Yeah.
You want some gin? You guys love gin, right?
I've got some
We're
gin.
not old ladies.
No.
Although actually,
I am.
fair, I do have a gym from time to time. But you raise a good point, Spiv. It is incredibly hard to do this for longer than 6 pages.
Yeah, it's
Seriously. Where was I? Her finger slammed into stone in the river. She found herself dangling over a deadly 60-metre drop into the waters below. Okay, this is okay. Just pull up. Relin strained, her knuckles turning white as her boots scrambled for purchase against the door below her. It was then that the God Wall decided to be incredibly inconvenient and break all known laws of scheduling. Deep within the confines of the cliffside, 1,000,000 tons of rock and steel ground together, twisting and churning, shaking Relin's teeth in her skull and her hands from their grip. "No, what?" she shouted. "The dawn shift already happened." The God Wall didn't care what time it was. All the God Wall cared about was fucking her over. The horrific rearrangement of a mountain began, and all around her, massive cubes began to shift out of sequence. The stone Relin was clinging to violently jerked backwards, ripping her handhold away, and with a scream abruptly swallowed by the wind, she plummeted. Eyes squeezed shut, she braced herself for the impact of the eastern seas below, preparing herself for a watery grave and the unbearable thought that smug bastard from the market was going to outlive her. Instead, her back slammed into a solid surface, and the wind was suddenly replaced by the suffocating scent of ancient debris. Before Relin could process the fact she hadn't been turned into seafood, the floor beneath her heaved, swooping upwards before slamming into place with a thunderous clunk. She lay on her back, groaning as she waited for her internal organs to settle back into their proper places, took a breath and blinked her eyes open, expecting to see the cramped dimensions of a standard vault. Instead, the room she had been caught in was massive. a cavernous expanse stretching far beyond the scale of the cubes on the wall's exterior, with towering ceilings supported by enormous ornate pillars. Lighting up the darkness were thick glass tubes embedded into the walls filled with a glowing amber liquid. And dotted all around were immense mounds of treasure. Rellin's vault picker instincts immediately overrode the bruises. Treasure! Mountains of it! She'd be able to buy every Mythian mask on the entire island. Wait until she shoved this in Merrick's stupid hairy face. She could buy the whole damn cliff market. She scrambled towards the nearest pile, dropping to her knees and plunged her hands into the loot. And her grin vanished. Relin pulled her hands back, holding up the treasure in the light. And she realised it was ceramic. A perfectly moulded ceramic nose attached to a shattered cheekbone. Unblinking eyes, half-cracked eyebrows. The bits of ceramic that pickers always found in the outer vaults. They were shrapnel from this central chamber. They were shattered faces, thousands of them. The remnants of all our failures. Relin spun around but saw nobody. Where the hell are you? She demanded, trying to hide her fear with standard Bezelbane hostility. We're the inhabitants, another voice echoed from her left. The prisoners of the cliff. Sentenced by probability, a third murmured, waiting until someone, by statistical chance, opened the door. Relin turned, trying to find the source of the voices. Statistical what? She shouted. What the hell does that mean? Hundreds of thousands of locks, all waiting for a key. But, she stammered, there's supposed to be treasure, grand rewards, there's gold in the vaults, ancient earthenware, fucking gems. Not this. We are bound to this prison, unable to reach out and manipulate the physical world, one voice answered. We couldn't manipulate your actions, another voice continued, but we could manipulate reasoning. When your ancestors looked upon our wall and deemed it a death trap, we whispered into their thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
The third voice appeared again. We fed them defiance. We made them think, they say it cannot be done, therefore I must. We nurtured your stubbornness, cultivated your pride, and made you believe... Listen to
this, Rich. This is about you. This part's about you.
This is about me.
Made you believe that giving up was a betrayal of your very soul. Yours is a nation performing contrarianism so thoroughly and for so long that it simply became a habit of the pantomime. A habit of the... Relin blinked. So everything we do, our whole national identity, everything, was so you could pick a lock. Yes, the voices chorused, a harmony of exhausted relief. You were the flawed keys we threw at a single door, and finally, after centuries of broken masks, the probability has aligned. The lights converged on a massive archway at the far end of the chamber, a monolithic slab of pale granite. Relin stared at the door, the gears in her head turning. We guided your stubbornness, the second voice urged. We pushed you to reject the easy path, all so you would stand before this door. All you must do is press your flesh to the stone, and the endless sequence will end. Reconfigure our prison, and give us the means to return to our home across the boundless eastern sea. Relin processed this. The fact that her entire life's philosophy was some implanted thought from 1,000 years ago. The fact her defiance was just a spell cast by some dusty freaks trapped in a wall. The sickening realisation that the rest of the outside world was entirely right about Bezelby. They were a nation of manipulated idiots, throwing themselves off cliffs for literally nothing. The anger felt steeped in 3 years of unrewarded vault picking. Step forward, the voices commanded, a little more forcefully now. Free us. Relin walked up to the stone door and looked into what she now recognised as an impression of her own face, every nook and imperfection staring back at her with dead eyes and an expectant nonchalance. She stepped closer. Then she dug into her sheepskin satchel and pulled out a thick-handled screwdriver. With as little care as she could muster, she carved a jagged X directly across the face's features. No! The otherworldly voice roared. You fool! Without the lock you'll be trapped. You'll die in here. Why would you do this? Because, Relin threw the screwdriver to the floor. I'm a Bezelbane, and nobody tells me what to fucking do. The end.
This is me.
Wow!
Yeah, that was great!
That was so good!
Oh,
That
I'm
was
glad.
Man,
that was really good.
That was so cool.
I
love that.
like the concept of the God Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like your style is very reminiscent of when we had Kevin on, and Kevin
yes.
is very, very lore and details orientated.
Yes.
I feel like what we get with guests is people who really, really think about what they want their story to be, which is kind of antithetical of what we do every week.
It makes us look like shit, really, if you think
I think
about it.
if I'm only here for one episode, I have to get as much in as possible.
That
So you
is
have to,
true.
do a whole, you have to explain everything.
Yeah,
Jeff's not back yet, so
yeah. Jeff might get arrested for all his French jet skiing he's doing.
Oh yeah.
jet ski.
Jet ski.
Jeff skis.
Jeff skis. Oh,
Oh,
man.
it reminded me. You know what this reminded me a little bit of? Game of Thrones with the face thing, but what was that fucking show on Netflix where they had to cross the ocean, they had to pull the ship across the land?
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Some Skull and Bones or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
It kind
It
of...
reminded me a lot of that.
the lore and the technology kind of reminded me of, the Mortal Engine stuff as well.
Yeah.
I want it to be kind of like Flintlock fantasy.
Yeah. So, interestingly, Rachel said to me, what do you think Spivzy's going to do for their story? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what genre they're going to go for. And she said, I bet he does pirates. And I was like, why?
It's close.
I bet they do pirates. And I was like, why? Why would they do pirates? And she was like, I don't know. I just think pirates.
I do like pirates.
Yeah.
Pirates are cool.
Pirates are cool.
It had a bit of almost steampunkishness about it, a bit of fantasy,
I
a bit
love
of pirate.
I love the clockwork shit.
Yeah.
If you put that in something, I'm gonna like it. It's just really cool. I don't know.
Have you considered writing this up?
Yeah.
And maybe because you do fanfic already and publish that. So have you thought about maybe doing this and publishing this?
Maybe. Yeah, I could stick it somewhere.
No, then is the answer. No, I haven't thought about it.
Bezelby has been just a setting that I've put stuff in for little stories. Like it's kind of like a
well,
nebulous.
I'll tell you, I don't really want to go there. It sounds stupid.
It's like
But it's
like every English port town.
Yeah. That was kind of what I wanted it to be.
Liverpool.
I'm not saying anything about the Liverpudlians.
Which one of you guys fucks sheep? Welsh?
Yeah, that's Wales. Yeah.
We
Wales and,
allegedly.
Yeah, west.
Sorry, allegedly.
West, southwest, like Dorset, sort of.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
Although I'm going to Dorset for Easter holidays, so that'll be interesting.
Well, look out.
Yeah,
You having lamb or what?
we're going to a place called Chidiock, which is as
man.
fantasy fucking sounding.
Chidiock, jeez. Everywhere in England, there's places that just sound like fantasy lands or, Dickens characters.
Yeah, Chidiock.
You know what's crazy about your country and shit?
Everything?
This is, and I feel like it's so not large, but every time I hear about some new fucking place that you just ripped out of fucking some fairy tale or some shit,
Yeah.
like Chidiock, what the I've never heard of that fucking place.
You
guys just inventing towns? What the hell's going on?
I think the thing is with England is we're so almost tribal. We're so tribal that even neighbouring villages 2 minutes apart will have their own name, will have their own local pub, will have their own something that they follow, or a cricket club or a football club, and it will be so intrinsically linked to that very small village of 20 houses potentially sometimes. That it might have a varying dialect or something. That's one of the most interesting and one of the most stupid things about Britain.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, here we just have towns like Lansdale.
Yeah.
Townville.
Quaker Town.
Like I live near a place called Burton Constable.
Burton Constable.
Burton Constable.
Is the constable named Burton? Like,
I think he must have been. It's got to be something like that.
You
Isn't
also
it Wet Wang?
Wet Wang, yeah.
Wank is good.
We live near Crapston, which is quite fun.
Crapston.
Yeah.
Aren't you quite close to Shitterton? Or is that the on the
Shitterton
other
as
side?
well. There's Kenford Ken.
Yeah.
You guys, you're just making shit.
No.
Shitterton's a real place.
We do sometimes do that on. We've done that before on the podcast where we've done two British things and a made-up thing.
See which one's. Oh, that's really good. That's funny.
But I do love that about Britain. You'll find like a village like 2 minutes down the road, and it's got its own culture, subculture.
Yeah.
But it also very much lends itself to isolationism and is very easily manipulatable by racist politicians.
Yeah, you show up and they're like, "What the hell are you doing here?" Yeah. Get out of my English folksy town.
Get out of my corner of England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how we do things around here.
Yeah. And you go in a pub that is like you're on a
the music stops and they'll look at you in the doorway. Yeah.
It's almost like a
you
saloon.
have
Who
to
plays a
sing
discordant note? Yeah.
You have to sing the Manchester United fights. My baby takes the morning train.
That was so good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should publish that. That was really, really good.
It's got a really cool setting that you could do a lot with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad it went well.
It did.
And I need to know what happened to the bald sailor chick.
Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe
she got even bolder.
Even bolder.
Down below? Or?
Maybe. It's like a full laser hair treatment. Going through
like
those storms.
Game of Thrones, they're fucking manicured as hell. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think that would happen.
Right, part 2 over. Come back in a brief wink for part 3. A brief wink. Last part, peeps, we're back. My episode this week is called Rich's New Saga, Water Ego, Part 1, The Right to Remain Silent.
Oh, my
Amazing.
God.
It gets no better.
Are we going to do this again? Oh, no.
Walter Browning hated superheroes. They doubled his commute to work, they trashed his favourite food carts, and they filled up his social media feeds with such bollocks as the best capes to wear to look like fly-by-night, or Pinnacle's favourite protein pancake recipes. Last week, Mr. Morbidity held the mayor hostage, and the subway was closed, so he missed the anniversary showing of Jaws he had booked tickets for. It was fucking bullshit. They flew in with no accountability, no apology, and tights so fitted you could see the folds in their arseholes as they flew overhead.
Oh, I'm not complaining just yet.
Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Up until the big outing of capes 2 years back, he didn't even believe in them. Like the Easter Bunny or billionaires with consciences, superheroes seem to be make-believe. As an insurance claims adjuster, Walt believed in exclusions and subclauses and the quiet dependability of fine print. Heroes, in his experience, were just natural disasters with good PR. What really pissed him off is that people suffered as a result of their actions, and it was his job to deal with the fallout. I'm sorry, Mrs. Flores, but superhero-related damage does not automatically qualify unless you've got the metahuman package attached to your standard coverage. God, he hated himself for even having to say those words. Why couldn't he have done something fun with his maths degree, like counting cards, or maybe street countdown?
What is that, illegal underground countdown?
Do you not have Countdown in the US? Countdown is a show where you do maths, essentially.
Oh, okay, yeah. You told me about this. We don't have that, but yeah.
Yes, Mrs. Flores. Even Wino, the superhero, can turn anything to wine. Well,
It's Jesus.
well, he's not really.
He rebranded Spivzy.
Well, he's not really a god, is he? Even though he displays a critical Jesus power, yes.
Critical Jesus power.
Well, I mean, one of Jesus' godlike abilities was capturing many people in his thrall, but thankfully we don't count Mr. Beast as a god either. No.
Oh,
No,
Mr. Beast exists.
No, Mrs. Flores. Mr. Beast, the YouTuber. No. That's Maestro Beast, the one who controls animals with music.
not to be confused with Minestrone Beast, the guy who just loves noodles.
Mrs. Flores, I can see your... Well, yes, you didn't ask for Pinnacle to destroy your shop. Your children's college funds, I see. Well, Walt gave a sigh and rubbed at his eyes. Mrs. Flores, I can see in the pictures you sent that a truck overturned a few metres from the shop. Yes, tragic. Might the damage have been caused by that? I'm sorry, Mrs. Flores, the line went a tiny bit fuzzy there for a second. I'm explaining to you that if the truck hit your bodega, then I could fast-track your positive claim. Ah, yes, completely destroyed, you say. Well, trucks are dangerous in superhero fights, Mrs. Flores, especially when Pinnacle punched Dementos through that truck. Okay, Mrs. Flores, I'm going to pass you over to our admin team now. Just request the 24A forms and fill them in and you'll be back on your feet in no time, unless the Limblopper returns to the city. Have a good day now.
I want to know more about him. He sounds cool.
He's a monster. He hung up gently, sat there for a moment, then said to no one in particular, I should have become a drug dealer. A voice in his head replied, you'd be bad at that too.
Is he gonna be a Superman?
Thank you, Walt muttered before grabbing his schizophrenia medication and taking another pill.
That's not a superpower.
The office was open plan, which meant there was nowhere to hide and nowhere to die quietly. Although, working a 9 to 5 technically meant he was actually dying quietly, he supposed. Screens glowed, phones rang. Somewhere, someone laughed too loudly at something that didn't deserve it. Probably a Big Bang Theory reference.
Oh, God.
Bazinga.
He wished he had. He wished he had the courage to bazing his own brains out with a revolver. Chad from underwriting was standing near the window again, staring out like a Labrador watching an ice cream truck. Pinnacle's out there, Chad said, not turning around. You can always tell. The light's warmer somehow. Walt didn't look up. That's just the fire from the First National Bank the Inferniator robbed this morning, reflecting off the glass. No, it's different, Chad insisted. It feels like hope. You mean hope the fire spreads and we can all go home or maybe get trapped in here and die, you mean, Walt said. Chad turned. You're so negative, Walt. I work in consequences, Walt said. It's not a growth mindset field. A flicker of movement at the edge of his vision broke his cutting repartee. Mia, across the office. She was scrolling through something on her phone, expression flat, like she was reading her own autopsy report. Walt tried not to stare and failed immediately. It wasn't just that she was attractive. Plenty of people were attractive, especially to someone who hadn't had sex for 8 months. Fuck, sometimes the sun-made raisin woman looked hot to him.
She used to be a great woman.
She did. He'd let her squish his grapes for sure.
Oh my God.
It was that Mia looked like she had already seen the best possible version of reality and found it underwhelming, and that made Walt feel good. Unfortunately, she had already friend-zoned Walt a few weeks after they met. She had a long-term boyfriend, and while she was always super cool to Walt, there was never anything really between them, apart from his unrequited love and a Catholic guilt that stopped him trying to sabotage her relationship with cutting asides and undermining his birthday present choices.
Burn it to the ground. Make it look like an electrical thing, bitch.
Maybe the reason he hated heroes was that secretly he was a villain, he thought. Here Mia's on the Here Mia's on the market, bro. Chad had silently approached silently and toxically, like an Andrew Tate fart.
Oh my God.
Thinking of shooting your shot, or are you gonna puss out again? Maybe Mia is into disappointment. Your mum wasn't so disappointed last night, Chad, at least until I rolled off of her and she saw that picture of you on her nightstand.
Oh, man. She didn't flip that shit down, damn, dude.
Chad flushed a furious red. My mother would be disappointed in any man after my dad died in war, after climbing the trenches to save a puppy, and he's a war hero, but you don't know him because he went to a different war, and one day he'll be back, and...
Oh, man. Oh, that's a whole can of worms.
Wow, that's a lot of words for left when he saw your monumentally weak chin, Walt said. Sorry, I thought Jeff was back.
Somebody's got to do the French Jeff. I'll do it.
Browning. Walt turned around to find his boss, Hank Halverson, looking down at him with crossed arms, standing too close as always, like he was trying to absorb personality through proximity. Conference room, Halverson said. Now. Meetings at the firm had a distinct capitalist post-nuclear wasteland tone. Not collaborative, not hostile, more, well, let's just say if one day they entered the room and Halverson was throwing a newborn out the window for profits, or even his morning wankaccino, Walt wouldn't be surprised.
Wankaccino.
Like, knowing the asbestos and lead paint sandwich you were biting into each day was somehow growing a tumour of death inside you and you just kept on going to work. Walt took his usual seat at the far end of the table, which he'd learned was where you put people you didn't want to engage with, but you weren't allowed to fire just yet. Chad sat next to him, stinking of whatever aftershave Andrew Tate had recommended.
Onion.
Axe body spray and mace.
Onion. Yeah. Mace. The mace gives it a zip.
Mia sat 3 seats down, and she gave him a smile and a roll of the eyes, which made him feel better for about 3 milliseconds before Halverson dimmed the lights. A presentation came up. A PowerPoint presentation.
What the fuck?
God, give me that tumour, Walt thought. Walt's name was on the first slide, and he felt something inside him quietly give up. Let's talk about initiative, Halverson said. Walt braced. Or more accurately, the complete absence of it in certain individuals, like those that fuck off to France on recording day, because because Paris is the jet ski capital of the world, so they tell you. At least that's what I heard from Jeff, who is trying to explain his urgent departure for legal reasons.
Roman Polanski.
The voice in Walt's head chimed in. Slam his head in the fucking copier. Halverson clicked and a graph appeared. Walt's personal performance. It looked like a ski slope had fucked a Trump approval chart. Or your parents' joy of having kids over time. All downhill, baby. Browning, Halverson said, pointing, does not make decisions in the interest of the company, nor the people at this table. When faced with high-risk scenarios, supervillain damage, unstable environments, media pressure, what do we expect from our team, Walt? Stop, drop and roll, Walt offered. Decisiveness, composure, a baseline level of courage. Not a man who reacts to stress the same way a Victorian London child reacts to fresh air.
How is that?
With complete shock and probably death.
My golly!
Walt felt heat rise in his face. He glanced at Mia, who looked empathetic. Good news, though, Halverson said, clapping once. I'm fired, Walt said, hopeful. You're getting a field assignment. Ooh, exciting, the voice in his head said.
James Bond.
Walt blinked. That doesn't sound like good news, Mr. Halverson. Yesterday, the supervillain mime Jazz Hands tried to...
I love him already.
tried to blow up the city comptroller in the municipal finance buildings, Halverson said. Explosion, government interest, media presence, it all equals kudos for us and the cessation of my work stress-induced erectile dysfunction. Walt felt his stomach drop. You want me to go there? I want you to do your job, Halverson said, or at least approximate it convincingly. Try not to embarrass the company. We're already insured against enough damage. Walt's roommate, Ephraim, was eating cereal out of a mixing bowl when Walt got home. Milk sloshed dangerously with every gesture as Ephraim ate too fast, as he always did. You're late, Ephraim said. Participating in the American dream, Walt replied. Oof, why don't you just quit? Ephraim was already on the other side of the room, his bowl in the sink. Walt didn't know how he did it. The way Ephraim moved gave him whiplash sometimes. Ephraim had ADHD and the fastest metabolism Walt had ever known. He was constantly eating chocolate and cookies. The man went through more rappers than P. Diddy at a youth talent drive.
Holy shit.
No.
You can't say that.
I did, and I stand by it.
Next week looks like Rich is going to face.
I can't quit, Ephraim. It's my job. We can't all be trust fund brats. Sounds like a skill issue to me. Walt sat down heavily. I'm being sent to the municipal explosions tomorrow. Ephraim's face lit up. The one Jazz Hands blew up? That's pretty big. It's pretty bad. It's pretty interesting, Ephraim corrected. Something might finally happen in your life. Remember that time I got diarrhea at that gig, Walt said. Things happen to me all the time. They're just small and humiliating.
Oh, that sucks.
Ephraim nodded. Yeah, but this could be like big and humiliating. Jazz Hands might be there lurking and, I don't know, kill you or something. I could look in the paper the next day and see your name and say, I knew that collateral damage.
Yay!
Walt rubbed his face. Halverson called me a coward in a meeting today. In front of Mia? Oh, yeah. Ephraim winced. Does your firm cover emotional damage? Walt snorted. She didn't say anything. No. That's something, Ephraim said. If she'd laughed, you could hate her. Now you know that at least, at worst, she just, doesn't care. Walt stared at him. You're a really bad friend. I'm an honest friend, Ephraim said, somehow on the other side of the room again, opening the fridge. That's rarer and admittedly less useful to your self-esteem. Walt hesitated. Ephraim, the voices are getting a bit worse. Ephraim didn't joke this time. How bad? They're clearer. They're like a director's commentary of a bad film. Like when Ben Affleck did that commentary for Armageddon.
The best fucking commentary of all time.
Voice is critical as fuck, and even it thinks that sending oil drillers to an asteroid is stupid. Ephraim nodded slowly. Okay, Walt said. That's all you can say. I was joking before, but you got to be a better friend. I don't really have anything to say, Ephraim admitted. My brain barely manages internal monologue. You've got like a whole panel show going on in there. Walt didn't laugh. The municipal building was still standing, somehow. Walt stood outside the taped perimeter, clipboard in hand, high-vis vest and helmet on. looking like the least imposing man at the end of the world. And that's only because Gilbert Gottfried didn't work insurance. And because he was dead. Although if they wheeled out his corpse, he'd probably still nudge Walt into last place.
9/11!
A chunk of the lower half of the building was just gone. Not dramatically smouldering, but like when the Terminator teleports in, but as if reality took one look at municipal finance and thought, nah, I'm not finishing that, it's fucking boring. News vans were parked 3 deep outside, both covering the bombing and the fact that the comptroller's announcement had been rescheduled to the glamorous hotel next door. Ballsy, the voice inside Walt's head said. Walt ducked under the tape. Browning, Walter, insurance, Walt said to a police officer who looked like he hadn't slept since the last time a cape decided to help. Rosen, officer, not giving a single solitary shit, the officer said. Somehow sensing Walt's job was somehow worse than his own job of standing. Sorry to...
At least he gets a gun, maybe, if he's American.
True. Sorry to interrupt your bustling career in harassing brown people, Walt muttered as he entered the derelict. Watch your step, the officer said. Always do, Walt replied, immediately stepping on something unstable and nearly eating concrete. He recovered, barely. The voice in his head said, that would have been pretty funny. I'm glad you're enjoying this, Walt muttered. He walked the perimeter, snapping photos on his work phone. Collapsed wall, sheared support beams, a financial performance chart inexplicably intact, because of course it was. He crouched near a crater that looked like it had been made by something that didn't understand how explosions were supposed to work, which, given the file, tracked. Incident report, jazz hands, mime-based threat actor, device, quote-unquote bomb, unconfirmed physical presence, detonation, delayed, unintended, possibly conceptual. Walt stared at that last line again. Conceptual bomb, he muttered. That's very new. The voice said, your whole life is a conceptual bomb.
Damn!
Yeah, but unfortunately it never goes off, Walt replied. He scribbled notes. Structural damage severe, cause pending, mime-related ambiguity, liability will be argued until someone dies or retires, hopefully me. A construction worker nearby was smoking and Walt went up to him. What even happened, Walt asked. The guy shrugged. From what I hears, bloke came in 3 days ago, pretended to plant a bomb, pretended to light it, everyone evacuated, and nothing happened. And then yesterday, bang. Walt blinked. Right. The worker took a drag of his cigarette. Honestly, mate, I preferred when they just punched things. Same, Walt said. At least that's dependable. Walt spent the next few hours doing what he was actually paid to do, which was quietly quantify the disaster so someone else could argue about it later. And take a shit on company time, of course, because he was a working class hero.
Hell yeah.
It was almost...
Better make sure I'm done for 20 more minutes.
It was almost peaceful, for a change. No one yelling at him, no boss, no Chad glazing the inside of his underwear over superheroes flying past the window. Just ruins. Walt stood up, stretching his back and checked his watch. Done. Or at least done enough that someone above him could pretend the rest didn't matter. He signed off the initial report, took one last look at the building and started walking back towards the street. That's when he noticed the commotion. Across the road, outside a hotel that looked like it had charged extra for oxygen, there was a small crowd forming. Security, suits, a couple of police. Walt squinted. Of course, he muttered. The city comptroller. Because if there was one thing bureaucrats loved, it was showing up after the damage had already happened to look disappointed in it. Walt hesitated. He could leave. He should leave. Nothing good had ever come from him getting involved in anything. The voice in his head said, go have a look. What's the worst that could happen? Walt sighed. Statistically quite a lot. But he crossed the street anyway. The comptroller looked exactly how you'd expect. Expensive suit, expensive haircut, the kind of face that had never once been told no without it being followed by sir. He was surrounded by people nodding at him. Walt edged closer, not really sure why. Morbid curiosity, maybe? Or the same instinct that made people slow down to look at car crashes? Terrible situation, the comptroller was saying. We'll, of course, be conducting a full review. Walt's foot caught on the curb. There was a very specific kind of inevitability to it, like gravity had been waiting all morning for its moment. The voice in his head said, and action! Walt stumbled forward, and at that exact moment there was a sudden crack, as sharp and precise as my wife's criticism of me being unable to open close a kitchen cabinet door.
Why can't you close them?
I don't know. I do leave them open quite a lot.
Why?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
You're not my wife. Sorry, Spiv. What was that?
Don't you walk into the doors if they're all open?
They have like hinges on them that make them close.
Sometimes I open the top one, I bend down to get something out the bottom one, and I stand up and I hit my head on the one I've left open.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
That's your fault.
I mean, it's fair criticism.
It drives me crazy too. That shit drives me nuts.
It was a sniper shot. Walt had no time to process it because he was already falling, straight into the comptroller. They went down in a heap of limbs and bad decisions, something passing through the air behind them with a weird, almost performative shimmer. It cracked into the wall behind them and left a hole bigger than that one in Trump's ear, because this one was real, and also cartilage doesn't heal.
Yep.
You fake-ass bitch. Did you see in today's news they said that the rifle and the shell that they recovered don't even match?
Yeah, they don't match. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we're really... Let's let these fucking absolute morons do a cover-up. Let's see how that works.
Yeah. There was a pause, a perfect suspended second where no one quite understood what had happened. Walt blinked. I tripped. The comptroller stared at him wide-eyed. You saved my life, young fellow. I really didn't. Then noise, shouting, running, camera snapping like whenever a female celebrity shows potential side boob. They'd been waiting for something exactly like this. Shot fired, get down. Who is that? Where is the brown person responsible?
Jeez.
I mean, that's what cops would say.
No.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
That's true. He's right.
Walt pushed himself up slightly, still half on top of the comptroller. I'm so sorry, he said. I didn't mean. Flash, a camera right in his face, and Walt put his hand over his eyes to shield himself. Sir, are you... Another flash. The reporter squinted at him, then did that thing. That awful, irreversible thing where recognition doesn't come from truth, but from filling in the gaps. Wait. Another reporter leaned in. Oh my God. Walt felt it before he understood it. Presumptions flying around like flies on a freshly coiled dog turd. Doesn't he look like... Unless your next words are a nobody, Walt said immediately, then no, I don't. No one listened because they'd already decided. One of the reporters flicked through a press pack and found a picture of Pinnacle, his eyes covered by a domino mask. With her other hand, she covered Walt's eyes again. You're Pinnacle, someone whispered. Walt stared at them. I'm just an insurance claims adjuster. My only superpower is being able to internalise stress until it becomes a diamond of tumours.
This guy loves too much.
A pause. Then, deep cover, the reporter said, nodding. What? Walt said, why? You saved the comptroller from a sniper. I tripped. Classic misdirection. Misdirection because of poor balance, you idiot. More cameras. More phones. Walt could feel it spreading, like a bad idea finding oxygen. He stopped talking because every word was making it worse. The voice in his head said, this is it. This is our moment. Walt closed his eyes briefly. No, it isn't. Across the street, perched at the window of the municipal building on a stool that wasn't even there, Jazz Hands watched. He held an invisible rifle, adjusted an invisible scope, then
God damn it.
and then very slowly lowered it. He looked at the scene, at Walt, at the way the shot had been interrupted. He frowned, then pulled one finger down his face to simulate crying. Then rewound. Not metaphorically, but physically. Hands pulled the air backwards like a rope, body snapping through the motions in reverse like reality was something he could edit. Again, he mimed the shot. Water fell. Interference. Again, shot, water, interference. Jazz Hands froze. froze, then tilted his head. Studied Walt. Really studied him. The face, the timing, the way failure had somehow aligned perfectly with this man's survival. Jazz Hands opened a pretend briefcase next to him and pulled out a pretend picture of his antagonists. Breakneck, Full Metal Parker, Hummingbird. Ah, there it was. His mental picture of Pinnacle. Yeah, Full Metal Parker. His mental picture of Pinnacle. Jazz Hands slowly raised his hands, outlined Walt's face in the air over the picture, carefully, deliberately. Then he stopped, very still, and gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. To be continued.
What? Oh my god.
That was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah. I know something's going on. He's got a Fight Club thing going on, obviously. It could be his friend is not real. It could be Marita. Was that her name?
Mia.
Mia. Could be her.
I have had this idea in my head since season 2. Spiv, I told you about this, didn't I?
Well, tell me.
You
Spivzy.
told me that you were doing a superhero one.
Yeah.
But I don't think you went into any details
Oh,
on it.
okay, right. I've had this.
Those were great. Those were great stories.
Thanks. Yours was good too. I really enjoyed that. The Buff Cat origin.
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
like Mimes at all. So
No.
can we never do Mimes again, please?
Yeah, we've done clowns twice, and accidentally I've done mimes twice. So
I swear to God.
Jesters.
Accidentally. He's like, maybe a third time it'll get good.
oh man, I enjoyed that. That was a great episode.
That was good.
It was It was a third less French than it normally is.
Yeah, which, I mean, next time it's just going to be... He's going to come back and be one of those people who has, like, a fake British accent, but he went to France, and you're like, why are you speaking like a British person?
He's going to use a really long word wrongly.
Yeah.
Jeff went on a gap year.
Transcendentalism or some shit.
Jeff Le Gapanay. Oh man, right.
Oh, Jeff.
Let's close the cover on this week's stories. Prompt generator time. Hold. The first one is Apothecaries by Travis Riley.
You didn't have that one before?
I don't think we've ever had that one. We've had libraries. We've had inns.
I feel like I remember Apothecaries. I remember you saying
book.
it.
You know
Yeah,
what?
Have you said it before? Do you
maybe.
just say Apothecary sometimes?
Maybe it's like Princesses and Disasters all over again.
Yeah.
Maybe, but then we've had clowns twice. So, and the next
I know how
one,
to spell apothecary. Oh, I got it right.
the next one is
Jim Carrey.
Jet Skis by V.
What?
Oh, that's funny.
Yep. Jet skis and apothecaries.
My God.
Wow, there's going to be a lot of inappropriate jokes next week.
Why couldn't that have been this one? We could have switched it out with Mimes.
Jet skis and Frenchies.
Bonjour. Stupid made-up language.
If you heard those prompts and you were like, but jet skis goes with rampant paedophilia, why didn't they pick that prompt? Well, A, you're insane, but B, you need to head over to patreon.com/storylords, and for as little as $5 a month, you can support the show, get access to the Discord, suggest prompts. What else can you do? You can read the stories, you can, do what you wanna.
You can
What the Addams Family
leave
song.
your friends behind.
You get access to Afterlords, which is the once a month sidecast we do on the side, talking about anything we want to. For $10, you get access to the other sidecasts that we do. You'll know where they are if you remember. And then there are other tiers beyond that where you can get art, you can get merchandise, you can get all sorts of shit. So go to patreon.com/storylords and consider becoming a member today. $5 a month isn't a lot, unless it is a lot, and then you're okay. But if if you have $5 to spare and maybe you're buying a coffee every day on your way to work, consider.
Yeah, we like coffee.
Consider a membership.
I don't have a crippling caffeine addiction that requires me to drink 7 cups of coffee a day. So,
oh man, I would shit myself to death.
Just,
It's dramatic.
well, that's the plan, dude.
Storylords is also on YouTube. You can catch up there with us once a week.
What?
We're not going to read the reviews this week because that's Jeff's job.
Yep.
Big thanks to Vidazon as always for the use of his music. You can follow Greg at vidazon.card.co. He's been a bit busy with work recently, so he hasn't been doing much new music, although he did redo the M-Class theme tunes.
Yes, which will be not last week's. Oh my god, time is so stupid.
But next episode.
It'll be next week.
They're really good as well.
Yeah, they're nice.
He's done a great job.
He never does a bad job.
No,
which makes
that's
me
true.
sick.
That's true. If you want any more Storylords content, you can go to storylords.page or storylords.card.co. Reese's. We're going to pass you over to Reese's now, where Reese's is going to read out the patrons and thank them personally.
Oh, hello, wizards, young wizards in training. I am feeling very under the weather today. Turns out if you spend time down at the Grawl docks, you get some diseases in your Grawl cock. So I'm going to read some names because the wizard tip this week is don't go to the Grawl docks with unlimited gold, because now my wizard tip is feeling it. You know? Lord of Lords, Squid Ludwig, you are the Lord of Lords, sir, and I tip my hat and infected wiener to you. Concubine of Lord Stephen. Stephen, you would have had a good time with me last night, since you're the concubine of Lords, yes. Josh Henderson, Lover 69, I bet you were busy last night, too, with the guy that I live with. Either that or he was just masturbating furiously and loudly. And then we got Hooch, Werewolf Bar Mitzvah, Golden Ream, the Brothers Anderson, Anthony Stoker, Chris Bauso, Renee Kemp, Malonite, Ratty IRL, and the Pez King. I wrote it as Pez Ying. I cannot write very well because of all the wiener infections. If you can tell, it's going into my voice now. That's how it works. Don't ask me how, it's science. Wizard science. See you next week, little ones. I don't know why you're children now. I don't know. I'm delirious. Ooh, fever. Get the leeches out.
You could just put the same bit in you do it in last time.
Nah, you can't. He can't. He's got a thing.
He's got to do it. He's got to do it.
He's got a whole thing, dude.
Right. And that's it from us this week. Spivzy, thank you very much for helping us out and coming on the show.
Welcome.
At such
You
very
were
short
great,
notice.
Spivzy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
4
was like,
days.
wait a minute. I thought Greg was gonna be. I didn't say that, but I didn't even know, dude. But I was pleasantly surprised that
Presently surprised that it wasn't Greg. That fucking ingrate.
your beautiful British voice that I could totally tell the difference between you and Rich.
Oh,
Can
it's
you
so
tell-
different.
Can you
So
tell us
different.
apart now?
Who just said what?
You need to listen to Toonhounds.
Yeah, you'll learn.
Spivzy, is there anything you want to plug while you're here?
Toonhounds. Listen to Toonhounds. It's a cartoon podcast where we watch cartoons
It's very good
every
as well.
week. It is quite good. Yeah.
Every 2
When are you
weeks.
guys gonna watch Dino Riders?
When do you want to come on and talk about Dino Riders?
I don't know. How do we get? Where do you even get Dino Riders?
Oh,
from?
we'll show you where to get
we
all
can
the
find
cartoons.
anything.
I mean, I also
Got connections.
We could also, now there's 3 separate Star Trek the Animated Series is out, we could do
yeah, there is
a
one.
Star Trek show. We've never done a
That'd
Star
be
Trek
great.
show.
What's the third animated one?
They've
Prodigy.
got Prodigy.
Oh, Prodigy. Duh.
Yeah.
I should have known.
But yeah, we love doing Toonhounds, and we're also doing, as our sidecast at the moment, we're doing Daredevil in the Details, which is our Daredevil sidecast because the new show is out. Once
Yeah, we
a
must
week.
do another one
Disney, right?
Yeah, first episode was pretty good, and there's 2 out tomorrow.
Does he fuck the She-Hulk again?
No,
I hope
but
so.
He definitely is fucking the Karen Page.
Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
finally! Jesus
Yeah, so it's
Christ,
taken-
that took
15
5
years.
seasons. Fucking Ross and Rachel over here. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think this. Josh, do you want to go listen to M Class Podcast? I'll do it for you.
Thanks. That was Go watch Continue. I guess. I mean, it's still there. Still do it. I gotta do it tonight. I gotta edit it tonight.
Right.
It's fine. I'll just get drunk by myself and do it.
That's perfect. That's the best way to do all your quality work.
You think that is not true, but there have been times when
I'm going to be honest. Part of
Yeah.
some of my best parenting has been when I've had a few drinks.
makes you think quicker.
Yeah.
It's like driving drunk. It
Yeah.
gets better at it.
Do not drive drunk.
Do not drive drunk. Do not drive jet skis drunk.
Oh, God. Never drive a jet ski now. Jet skis are off the table, except for next episode.
My dad used to have them, so whoops.
I have driven a jet ski. We've talked about this before.
They're-
haven't we? We've been both
they're
been on
very
jet ski.
fun.
They're really fun.
They're super fun.
As long as you're not also doing the other thing.
right on the island. Got it.
I have
Right.
seen a jet ski.
Then you're qualified to
Sick
ride one.
freak, Spivzy.
Right. Thank you, Spiv. We will
You're
be
welcome.
back in 2 whole weeks for another episode, and that one is, what was it? Jet skis and what? Apothecaries.
Apothecary.
That's a water and apothecaries go
Alcoholics.
together. Thank you for listening as always, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Hey.
Bye.